All right, well, it's time to get started. So why don't we begin? Thanks everyone for joining. As always, good to see and hear you. So if you joined this morning, you know, some of this will be a repeat from financial modeling, but if you didn't, then let's go over what we wanted to talk about. A couple things. First of all, thanks for your patience with this process. I mean, it's going to be a lot different now the rest of the semester. And especially for this class, I think that's going to change things a bit more than some other classes I'm teaching, especially on the fund management side. So it's an interesting time and an interesting opportunity for y'all right now, that's for sure. So just to emphasize a couple things, let me go over to Blackboard quick. Just want to make sure we're all aware of the fact that you know, the things that are going to determine your grade in large part are the participation under mini exercises. Again, I don't want these to be too burdensome. And then also the ability to submit assignments and exams in a timely manner on Blackboard is going to be key, obviously. So let's make sure we do that. Quick note on the videos, right? Hopefully those we're having an okay time with those. And just a note or two on the videos. I like to point out that closed captions are available, right, to follow the text if you want that. And then also on the gear settings button, you can change the playback speed if you want it to go slower or faster. 1.75 might be a bit much, but anyway, maybe could be helpful. So let's see, why don't we open it up. Do you got any questions? Why don't we start with questions you might have about how things are going to going forward in this class? Anyone want to share anything?
Yeah, I got a question. So you know how we're supposed to do the final project of like the stock recommendation?
Yes.
So will we just like be presenting it like as a group, I guess, obviously? Or how would that go about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm envisioning it being done by Zoom meeting, because we still, I mean, it'd be, I feel like it would be too big of a shame to miss out on, like, you know, the exercise of proposing a stock and having the fund purchase it. Especially now, I feel like there might be a good market opportunity. I mean, it's sort of, we're at a disadvantage in terms of figuring out what to sell. But that said, yeah, I think we should still do the fund management where you pick a stock and analyze it and try to propose purchasing it. I think that should happen in Zoom, where we see the presentations. It's going to be a little clunky because we won't be, like, the groups won't be together in person when they present. But I think it's going to be important to, it's an important exercise. So yeah, we'll still do that. Let me move over to the overview presentation that's from the intro video real quick. Trying to get faster with this Zoom business, but it's a learning curve for me. Thanks for your patience. Let's share a presentation, which we saw from the introductory video. Online overview. Here we go. So moving down to, so this was covered in the very first video, which I hope we enjoyed. But yeah, we'll have a Zoom meeting on the presentation date. Hopefully that's still feasible. April, let's see, let me just check it out quickly. April 14th, which I think is going to be doable. I'm going to try to manage the content that we have in the course leading up to that. And then we also have to figure out what to sell in advance of that still. And I think if we look at what's happening with the fund, I don't think it makes sense to buy $8,000 worth of stock just because the portfolio has declined in value a substantial amount. So let me share this, because let's see. Let's look at the fund, that Google sheet that you all made, to see what the fund is worth now. I took a quick look, And it looks like the stocks are down to about $38,000 from, over 50 not too long ago. But so I don't know, maybe it makes sense to sell a total of like 6,000 worth of stocks. And so each group would propose purchasing maybe 1,500 worth of stock. But we've got some time to hash that out, but we should figure it out soon. So good question. That's going to be different, but we'll get through it. Any other questions right now? Michael, are you outside on your porch?
Yeah, I'm in the front of my house right now. I just wanted to. I was inside too long. You know, trying to say.
Yeah. Are you back on Long Island?
Yeah, back in Bayshore.
Okay, good. All right. Any other questions folks want to ask at this point? Okay, great. Well, so if we're up to speed on how the class is going to work, like the financial planning content is going to be kind of stripped down and pretty basic. The way I'll evaluate you on it going forward, we've got just one more assignment, and then there's a final exam that I'm hoping won't be. It'll be very similar format to the midterm, except it'll be kind of take home. So that'll be the financial planning side. We can use these Zoom meetings to talk about that a little bit if folks want. But the majority of what I want to talk about on these Zoom meetings is how the fund management is going to go, because there's a few weeks left until presentations, and my hope is that the majority of the time you devote in this class over the next few weeks is just on getting like the presentations ready and the yeah. So let's see. Why don't we start with? Should we go around and provide a brief update for each group? I didn't hear much in terms of the deliverables from our last in-person class, and that's fine. That doesn't surprise me, given things were kind of in flux and it was a little bit of an interesting spring break. But as I look at, let's go back to share the web browser again. Let's check out what we talked about establishing from our previous meeting. We said finalize the stock we're going to look at, right? And then some of these things, maybe I think maybe the biggest key risk is pretty clearly defined for whatever company we're looking at right now. And then maybe we could, if there's any update to provide on whether you went about figuring out which stocks in the portfolio to sell. I'd be interested to hear that. So let's do that. So first of all, you got your company finalized, and then 2 updates. Is the company finalized and which one? And then second, did you think about as a group which stocks you think the fund should sell? So anybody want to go first?
Well, we haven't really looked at any stocks to sell as of now, because obviously everything's like really low right now. So I think our group would have to do more research on like what to sell right now, because that's like all over the place right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it. How about, is your company finalized?
So we were between like, what was it? It was three other companies you were. Sean, what was the 3 ones you were doing? It was like we were between like Square. We were between, what was the other one you did?
Trying to put it back.
And I think Kubi, you had like Infos. Wasn't it Infos?
Akamai Technologies.
Yeah. So we were like in the IT one. So we're still trying to finalize that.
All right. Do you think you can work and pick one this week?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we can get to that, of course.
Okay. I mean, like I realize, given the resource constraints, like we're not going to be able to research every company thoroughly and then be 100% confident that we're picking the best stock of the 3 of those ones that you mentioned. But well, for purposes of the learning exercise, we can establish one over the next week. That's good. All right, thanks for that.
The like selling, we were looking at like Cheesecake Factory as like a potential sell too,
Okay,
for as one stock at least. But yeah, we still gotta work on that a little more.
got it. Sounds good. Thank you. So let's check out. Let's hear from any other groups. Anybody want to go next?
Yeah, so we're doing Dominion Energy.
I'm sorry. What company?
Dominion.
Dominion. Oh yes, Dominion. Okay.
Talking about selling was Cheesecake was one of them. Another one was Polaris, just because we don't think people are going to be buying luxury goods so much out of this.
Yeah.
And then we also talked about GE and Under Armour.
Okay. Great. Thanks to Gunner's Group. Let's see. Other groups. Caesar, do you guys have any progress to report?
Hi, in terms of the, hey, let me put my camera on.
Hey.
I've been kind of hiding out here. Well, in terms of the stock reports, in terms of selling, we didn't really do any more research because they've been really unstable, going up and down on a daily basis. But in terms of China Mobile, they had a good week. So in terms of the month, they did lose a little bit of value on the stock, but they went up this week. So I don't know if that has any correlation with the virus going on. People are at home and stuff. So that's pretty much it. I have to look a little bit more into why it is they went up this week, since every other stock, pretty much every other one, not the strong ones, have been going down. So
yeah. All right. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if like they're going to follow how the epidemic is progressing in China, whereas like U.S. companies are going to follow like we're behind in terms of where we're at on the curve of
Right.
progression. But that's interesting. Okay. Great. Thanks, Caesar. I appreciate it.
no problem.
And then let's see, is it just one more group? Victoria and Saomi and Angelica and Marta? Anyone want to share anything?
Sorry, I'm doing this from my phone and the mute thing was being strange.
Okay,
We're
no
still
worries.
sticking to the same company. We're doing IDEX still. That's their ticker.
Yes.
I think we also have to go back to the drawing board in terms of stocks that we're going to sell now and reevaluate just because of the coronavirus and what it's doing to the economy and all of that and what it's doing to the global economy in general. So we had a short list though. I can pull it up, but definitely needs to be revamped.
Okay. All right. Well, let's establish that as something that we should try to let's keep that as another deliverable for next week. What do you say, huh?
Yeah.
So I'll post this to Blackboard, but let's see. Next week's deliverables. All right. So we've got one. Identify. Let's say is everyone okay with 6,000? So like the positions that your group will end up proposing to purchase will be around $1,500. Because before.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's yeah.
Okay, great.
So we're gonna sell 1,500 and buy 1,500.
Yeah, so we'll need like the fund has about 12,000 in cash, and then we figured we probably want to maintain about that level of cash. So if we sell about 6,000 worth of stock, and then each of the four groups, proposes a stock, and assuming that y'all vote to buy all four stocks, then we'll buy about like 1,500 worth of each of the four stocks, so 6,000. So yeah, 6,000. If you feel strongly about proceeding differently on that, feel free to get in touch offline. I'm happy to talk about it for sure. But for now, I think if we say identify 6K worth of portfolio to sell, and the best place to look at that is probably on the Google sheet with the fund holdings. So the market values of the holdings are pretty close to what, yeah, are pretty close to real-time values. Okay. And then as far as what goes on next, I mean, like definitely finalize our company to analyze. And everyone okay with that one? Finalize the company if we haven't already, but it seems like if we're not there, we're close. So that's good. And then really, I think what we should do is work on, if it were me, I would look through the things we talked about as far as like company analysis, industry analysis, macroeconomic analysis, and try to build out a report or a presentation to recommend, buying the stock that we've talked about. And let's see, what was I going to open up just now? Yeah, so if we look under fund info, let's see, click under fund info. All right. If it were me, I'd try to look at the contents of the sample presentations, right? And then under slides, we've got all these different resources for how to things that will go in to a stock report. So I think it might be worth, and it's not ideal, but we might be like, as we build the report, we might be doing some of these things on the fly, right? Okay, time to fill out the macroeconomic and industry analysis section. Like, there's a common trend that I'm expecting to see in every single presentation on macroeconomic analysis, right? Because this pandemic is going to impact the stock values tremendously. So, like, how's my company gonna respond going forward as the pandemic progresses, and if maybe we recover from it? So we'll see how that goes, right? So are we okay with continuing, like maybe starting to sort of fill in a template presentation? Does that seem like a good way to proceed? I mean, what do y'all think?
Yeah, that's good for me.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, it's going to be hard because you're not able to meet in person, but if you've got ways to, do you have ways to like meet virtually like this? Like, I mean, if you all have iOS products, you can use FaceTime, like a group FaceTime. Otherwise, you can do like a video conference call with Skype, right? Across operating systems, or Google Hangouts is good if anybody likes Google products. So can I count on you all to be more social communication adept than I am in terms of meeting with your groups? And because it's really just going to take coordination to put together a quality product. And it's a great opportunity right now to do something that's relevant in the finance major as you like think about getting a job. It's like proposing a stock and buying it with a fund in a student managed investment fund is great, but if you can do it smartly in the face of what's going on now, you'll just have so much more to talk about in a job interview, which I think is a good thing if you do it right. Otherwise, if we don't have much to talk about there, then there won't be as much fodder for discussing in an interview. But I know we'll be able to handle it. So, all right, so back to the deliverables. Start to build. Let's start with the presentation, because the written stock report isn't due until later, right? A few weeks later, the last day of class. Start to build presentation template. I'm thinking Google Slides is probably good for this, so you can work on one document like collaboratively, multiple editors, and then probably want to do things like the ratio analysis. Any spreadsheet work, Google Sheets might be best for that too, just because multiple people can edit a spreadsheet at the same time. So let's proceed that way. Start to build a presentation template. And so for next week, how about plan to share what you've got so far, and I'll pull it up on the share screen, right? So you share your draft presentation with me and we'll go over what each group has done and see how far people have come, and talk about what's going well and what's not going well. So.
Professor, one question.
Sure, yes.
If we're identifying $6,000 worth of stock to sell, are we buying 6,000 worth of the stock that we're picking?
No, so the whole thing, like as a class, they'll decide, okay, what
Oh,
6,000.
one stock, we're picking one stock.
Yeah,
One stock.
I mean, each group should pick all 6,000 to sell. And that'll probably be like, I don't know, it'll be multiple stocks out of the fund's holdings that will sell. So each group, come up with a list of $6,000 worth of fund stock to sell. But then when it comes to time to, propose China Mobile or whatever company, like each company will buy $1,500 of that stock when that time comes.
Got it, thank you.
So, what other questions do we have? Questions. Do we think it's worthwhile to set up like an individual meeting Zoom meeting with each group? Or if you want to do that, I'll tell you what, coordinate among your group members. And if you want to do that, let's definitely do that. Okay. So we can set up like a meeting with just where I meet with just each group and we can go over your work. That could be anytime. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, nice. I want to get your thoughts on how the market's doing. I mean, I had a great day today, but let's look at just a trend over the last month. It's up almost 10% today.
What do you think that is?
Let's hear from the group. Who's got thoughts?
What is like Zoom etiquette? Like, is there a button I can click to raise my hand before I speak? Does anybody know?
I don't know how to do that. I should be better at it, but if you want to just unmute yourself and just jump in there, I think that'll be fine. I have the ability to mute everyone, which I don't think I'll need in a small group like this. If things get out of hand, then we can do that. But yeah, don't be shy about just jumping in.
Okay. Do you guys think that it could be because China has seen, was it yesterday or today, that they had no cases reported? Do you think maybe that could be why? And the economy is responding and saying, okay, if China's gotten through this in, what was it, 2 months, 3 months, then things have to get better soon?
Could be. Other thoughts?
I think also maybe the federal stimulus package, since there's like good news about that.
That's a big one.
They're trying to pass it, so I think they heard like they're moving towards passing it. That could be a reason too.
Yeah, expectations about that stimulus bill, I think, are driving it quite a bit. So I'm getting a notice that says our meeting is going to end in 10 minutes. So if we get cut off after 10 minutes, you can just click on the same link and go back in, okay? Has that happened in any of your other classes? I'm curious.
Yeah.
Okay, and is that what you do? You just click on the link again and go back into the meeting, or is there?
Yeah, we're supposed to click back because we don't have the premium version, or this is a free version or something like that.
Yeah, licensing issues.
Yeah.
Something tells me after the semester we'll upgrade our Zoom license. But yeah, so I'm curious. I mean, I don't know the answer to like what's going to happen here, but it seems like it changes pretty rapidly day to day. So obviously this is something that we're going to have to try to analyze when we look at our companies. And if you've got thoughts to share on it about your company, I'd be happy to hear about them. On the personal investing side, so my retirement fund is down over 30. My main portfolio, it's down over 30%, like since
Wow.
the end of February, because it essentially tracks the stock market. So that's kind of a bummer, but as a long horizon investor, just like the investment fund, I think that's, I take on market risk. So this is a market risk, and overall the stock market will have an average return of at least 10% if it follows its historical trend. So not worried about that, but definitely not retiring anytime soon now. So.
Are there any ways to be exempt from this kind of market risk in terms of investing?
Yeah, I mean, I think apart from, if you want to invest in like what's done well lately, like long-term treasury bonds have done really well recently, just because there's no default risk, presumably, right? And then also since interest rates have kept declining, then when yields go down, prices go up. So because long-term treasury bonds have more interest rate risk, the prices have gone up much more as interest rates have fallen. So yeah, I guess if you want to avoid risk, and then you still want to earn some return, long-term treasuries are one way to do it, but that's going away. So yeah, I'm not sure. Let's plan to maybe we do another deliverable, just one more deliverable for next week. Prepare like some kind of prepare some stock market outlook, like even if it's something, just find a Wall Street Journal article or something to inform like what's going to happen over the next year. Nobody knows this, right? What's going to happen over the next year with the market. But at asset management firms right now, I'm sure there's people that are trying to like forecast what's going to happen with the market over the next year, even more so than they have been in the past. And so maybe that'll inform like what you're going to do with the group project. So the fund management. Does that seem feasible? Just something backed by maybe some data or maybe a news article or two. Let's plan to talk about that too. All right, nice. Any other comments or questions or concerns right now?
No.
No? Okay.
Actually, one more thing.
Sure, yeah.
A lot of people refer to this kind of like period to like as an opportunity to invest. Would you agree, or do you say there's just pros and cons, or in terms of being a new buyer or people who are trying to buy?
Yeah, I guess it depends on like, are we close? Have we hit bottom? Are we close to the bottom? But I've thought about increasing my contribution to my retirement fund, because I feel like even if it goes down some more, it's
Sorry, Rob.
Yeah, in the long, but that's me being a long-term investor. Like, I don't know, like, over the next year, we could lose another 20% or 30%. I don't know. But over the next 40 years, I think, which is my investment horizon pretty much, it's a decent time to put in a little extra money, because the average return's been 10% over historically. But I just don't know. Every time I guess, I've been wrong. So in the short run, I can't time the market. But long term, I've seen what works, like with long-term returns. So, but yeah, if I had an extra $20 to play around with, like investing in I don't want to say random stocks, but companies, maybe it's a good time to do that. Like with Cash App, where you can buy fractional shares. So maybe I'll do that. Try that. Has anybody used Cash App? Have I asked this in this class?
Isn't that the app where you transfer money? Not.
It's mostly that, but you can also buy fractional shares of stock now. And Robinhood, it says that's coming, but they haven't rolled it out yet. So, like, I can invest $1 in Tesla, even though the price is hundreds of dollars. So
That's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So we've got about 4 minutes left. If you got any questions, let me know. But I hope you realize it's going to be extra important to be proactive in working with your groups over the next few weeks, like offline. So our in-person time is going to be much shorter than it was, even with these virtual meetings. So it's going to be really important to correspond with your group measures, and really follow up on these deliverables. So let's plan to do that. And then whatever I can do to help you out, just feel free to get in touch. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Great. Well, if you want to jump into another, if you want to spend some more time like outside of the main group, just let me know right now. Send me a quick email, and then I'm happy to open up the Zoom meeting again. But otherwise, let's plan to continue with the videos and the mini exercises for participation, and really be in a good spot to have some solid things to share next week for the fund management side. All right, so thanks everyone. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Thank you.
Have a nice night, Professor.
You too, thanks.